Hey everybody, it's Craig Beckta here from craigbecta.com. In this video, we're going to do a behind-the-scenes look at an outdoor portrait shoot using natural light and studio strobes. And we're also going to do the post-processing of one of the images from the shoot. So stick around and watch the entire video. I'll see you in the park where we meet up with our model Liz. Alright, so in this shot what we're going to do is we're going to use the diffuser and the 5-in-1 reflector. And she's going to be in direct sunlight, and then Rob's going to use the diffusion, and you'll see how that looks. Okay. All right, that's good. Yeah, that's great. Okay, let me just... This image was taken in direct sunlight, and we used a Westcott 5-in-1 reflector as a diffusion material. We shot this at 70mm with an f2.8 70 to 200mm lens. Okay, you can see behind me we added a Canon EX600 flash, so as a hair light. So now we're going to take some shots, and I started it on manual power, and it's at 1/4 power, so we'll see how that looks, see if we can even see it in the shot, and if not, we'll turn it up. And then let me just go up to the side here. The lighting for the next series of shots is an Einstein E640, a 20-inch beauty dish with diffusion, and a Canon 600EX RT as a hair light. It's kind of cool too, I like it. Oh, let me just make sure. If you stick around to the end of this video, I'll show you the post-processing that we did to this series of images. Oh, that's awesome. The majority of these shots were shot at f2.8, ISO 100, and we were set at about 200 for our shutter speed. Whew, gonna take a break. But,
oh, look, you got a crowd watching you now.
Oh, really? Well, it is interesting. I mean,
that is cool.
How often, do you see all these lights and a beautiful model in a park? Well, that's pretty dramatic.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, there's got to be a handful that are going to turn out really well, I think.
Oh, I really like those ones.
That one I like a lot. Like the wind hit your hair.
Yeah.
Your shoes down there, too. Cool.
I like that one a lot, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, give me some of those moody faces that you do. Yeah. You know, those real dramatic faces that you do, like with that pose where your feet were like in the stairwell pose, you know what I mean? Maybe I'll shoot more from over here, more like flat lighting, too. Cool. This image was taken again with the Canon 70 to 200mm f2.8 non-IS lens at 90mm. So stick around and check out the post-processing of some of these images. Alright, so here we are at Adobe Lightroom. I like to use Lightroom to preview my images, and I've decided this is the one we're going to go with. So we're going to click on that and we're going to say Edit in Photoshop, so we're going to open it as a smart object in Photoshop. And what will happen is, if it's a smart object, we can just double click it, and then we're in Adobe Camera Raw. So I set a custom color profile using X-Rite Color Checker Passport, so that's it there. And then we've got our Remove Chromatic Aberration, Enable Lens Profile Corrections. And I'm going through this relatively quickly because we got a lot to cover. So I'm pretty happy with the exposure and the color temperature, so I'm going to leave that. I might lower the contrast just a touch, raise the shadows a touch, and then raise the blacks just a bit. And we'll say OK. And we're back in Photoshop. And then what I'll do is I'll duplicate this layer by right-clicking and saying New Object via Smart Copy. I'll double-click on that. And then what I'll do is go to HSL Grayscale. And I'm going to convert that image to gray. And what this is going to do is going to build in some contrast for us. So I'll go to a blending mode, and I'm going to choose Soft Light. Now I'm going to bring the opacity down to usually about 34%, and then I'll unclick that eyeball, click it, you can see it's added some contrast to the image and a little depth. Now what I'll do is I'll highlight the two, Command E to merge them, and then I'll create another copy. Now with this copy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it, but also I'm going to add a plugin to it. So let's go to the crop tool, and we'll click on that, and then as I start to move this, you'll sort of see that we've got our rule of thirds kind of outline there, which is pretty helpful. So you can sort of compose after the fact So, okay, so we've got too much up here. And so she's the central subject. So then I like to keep this somewhat even. Maybe we'll come in a little bit here, but you can see that's a much better composition than our original one, because she's the central focus of the image. So we'll just bring that down just a touch more. And you can see the rule of thirds. We've got her kind of spread out. It's an interesting pose that way. And because we have this unchecked, delete crop pixels, then we can always go back and recrop if we want to. So I'll try to speed up a little bit here. So we're going to go to portraiture. Now it's a skin softening plugin, and if you don't have it, don't worry about it. You can also do this type of effect in Photoshop. Now you can see the before and the after, and she looks great anyway, but it just smooths out the skin, and then I'll show you how we can remove that little blemish that's right there. Now it's going to take effect, and it's on this layer right here. So one thing we want to do too is, if you watch me unclick it, you'll see that it also affects the background and her hair. So I'm going to unclick it. So we just want the portraiture plugin, the skin softening, only on the skin. So what you want to do is create a mask. So if you click Option at the same time as clicking here, now we have a black mask. So the effect is now gone. And so we can just click over, use white. I'll get a brush over here, and we'll just paint in white where we want this effect to take place. So it won't be everywhere. It's only going to be where we paint it right now. So I've got a brush here, and I'm just painting it in on her skin. I'll show you a way to look at it to make sure that you've got all the areas covered. And there's probably different ways for you to check that out, but I'll just show you one here in a second. So I'm just kind of highlighting her right now, and I think I've got most of her skin covered. Now I'll unclick these two layers, and now you can see that this is where the portraiture plugin is taking place right here. So I'll try to do this quickly, because I know this is taking a while. And so one thing, I usually don't like to do the skin softening over the eyes or the lips or the teeth. So what we can do is we can go back and we can fix that. Okay, so we'll go back, make this brush a little smaller, make this a little bigger, and then we'll just, by clicking X, we can go from white to black, and then if I take the black, then it will remove the effect. So I can remove it from her eyes, so we won't have that softening effect. Because what we can do is go in later and sharpen her eyes just to make sure they're very sharp. And then also, I can make this a little bigger, and then we'll just sort of clear this area up. So she has some detail in her lips and her teeth area. All right, so if we go like that, there it is. So what we'll do is we'll merge these layers, and we have a new layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the healing brush, and you can see we have a little blemish there. I'm going to press Option on the Mac to take a sample, and then I could just brush over. And there you go, it's gone. So you can do as much retouching as you wish. I'm not going to go through it all, but it's the healing brush, and you can see there's a small blemish there, but because it's by her hair, watch, I'll show you what happens. Sometimes it'll take some color from her hair, so I'm going to go Edit, Step Backward. What I'll use is the Clone Stamp tool, and I'll take a sample that's close to the area, and then I'll just paint over. You can see it's gone, and so those are the two tools, the healing brush and the Clone Stamp tool. Great tools to use. Now, I'm going to do this really quick. I probably won't go through the whole step. What I'm going to do is just merge these images, and I have a new layer. And the background's too bright. So I've got my quick selection tool, and I'm probably not going to go through it all. And there's probably different ways to do this, but if you know another way, please leave a comment below, and maybe a link to another tutorial, because I'm always looking for new ways and faster ways to do things. But you can see what I'm trying to do. Basically, I'm going to try to just highlight her as if I was going to cut her out from the background. But I'm not going to cut her out from the background. All I'm doing is just separating her so that I can apply effect to either her or the background. Now this shirt's a bit complicated because it's got so many checkered patterns. But I'll just do it real quick, and then just to give you an idea. So you can see here I have some areas that weren't highlighted, or were highlighted. So if I press Option, I can clear that out there, and this arm here. And you can see we've got a really bad cutout. But I'm just going to try to demonstrate this technique. So what I'm going to do is go to Refine Edge. I'm going to say Layer Mask, and I'll say OK. And you can see here we've got a portion of her shirt. So I'm going to go back and I'm just going to clear that out. Just try to clear up that shirt. And you can see here, we've got to take this area in a little bit. And that's a little better. It's not perfect, but just for the purpose of this demonstration, we'll keep moving. And we'll say layer mask, we'll say OK. Now over here, what we can do is we can go to the blending mode and we can say multiply. And now you can see that it's just affecting her. But if I press on Command I, now that effect goes to the background. And so she looks naturally lit. So of course you take a little more time in doing that cutout just to make sure that she's perfectly cut out. And then what you can do here is you can adjust the opacity. So we're on multiply. You can go on darken. Obviously darken's not as good as multiply, but you can play around with the different blending modes and see we have the opacity. So that's what it looked like. So let's say we go up to 40%. I can click on the eyeball. We can say, well, that's what the background looked like. And now we've darkened it. And then it sort of solves your problem of a blown out background. Like I said, there's probably different ways you can do this. And if you have a better way that's faster, let me know. That'd be cool. So anyway, there we go. And I'll probably do a little bit more. If I was going to do the complete image, I would probably whiten her teeth a bit and brighten her eyes and sharpen them. But this video is running a little long, so I'm going to end it there. But yeah, you've got a great looking image. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and make sure you drop by my website, craigbecta.com, and check out my other videos. I'll see you in the next one.